Cool. Okay, oh, this is loud. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming to DevMad Talks free. It's been a couple of years since we've done this, so bear with us. But yeah, it's really good to see all of your faces here, new and old. We haven't done this in a couple of years, but actually this year we really wanted to come back to it. So obviously, if you are new here, scan the QR code, join our channels, LinkedIn, Telegram, Meetup. We have the different channels for different parts of DevMad, the socials, or the Meetups. DevMad Talks is on Meetup, LinkedIn as well. We have socials, I think, on Luma, but everything is on that QR code, so grab a photo. And cool. So my name is Babu. I'm co-founder of DevMad, and also an Android engineer.
Yes, and my name is Tree, and I help out organizing things in DevMad.
And cool, we will kick off with the quick little intro about DevMad.
Yeah, so some of you in the audience are completely new to DevMad, so we will spend a bit of time explaining what the community is about. So Developers in Madrid was founded March 2021. Our 5th anniversary is approaching soon. I expect lots of cakes next month for us. Yeah. It's a community, for English-speaking developers based in Madrid. And it started out as a social group to help developers from abroad arriving in Spain to settle into their new lives. For example, I was a lost soul because when I came, I didn't speak any Spanish. So I was really glad to have found Dev Madrid, where everyone speaks English and I felt less disconnected. And of course, hopefully you can also make lots of new friends because we have around 250 members. They hail from different tech backgrounds, as you can see, web development, mobile, backend, but also data science, AI, QA. It's a very multicultural group. People come from all corners of the world. And as Babu pointed out earlier, this today is a special event because we're returning to Tech Talks, which we are very excited about. So DevMad, the other events we do revolve more around socializing. That includes after work drinks, lunches, and the amazing DevMad summer picnic. So here you can see a few really great pictures. It all started 2021 during COVID, then great Irish pub meetings, pizza, which people always love, and we are happy to also be fed with pizza tonight by Cabify. Thank you so much. And then, that nice picture culminating last summer, the picnic. So apart from this, we also attend code conferences together. And something that I realized has become very important is that members, have been helping each other out with career advice, knowledge exchange, mentoring, and job postings. So it's a very active community where members support each other. And this is a good place to hand over to Babu for the next slide.
We set up DevMad in 2021, but actually I realized that developers, designers, the relationship between the two is quite close, especially in startups, technology. And I did actually create a group called MadUX, which I'm now happy to say is finally picking up pace. It's the exact same setup, English-speaking community for the designers. So if you know any colleagues for design, please let them know, scan the QR code. They've got their first event. I'm happy to say that Felipe over there has been crazy enough to take the charge for MadUX. And obviously we'll be leading out and catching up, but basically a little workshop for portfolios and things. We're hoping to have a nice relationship, obviously, between MadUX and DevMad, eventually leading to maybe even projects together. But definitely have a share of this to your colleagues in design. And the first event is obviously in the QR code. And I just want to give a massive shout out to Cabify for hosting us. It's been absolutely amazing. Please give a round of applause, guys. Andres has been... Let's give a few words for Andres.
Just a few words. I'm very happy to have you all here. I mean, we are happy to host this amazing community, DevMad, probably the first of many, probably. We'll see. I'm Andres, iOS developer here in Cabify. I have been working here for more than 7 years already. Yeah, we are hiring. So some backend developers, some designs as well, data analytics, I think. Check the page out and you will see. One more thing, the toilets are behind that door. So you have the need of using it, you know where they are. And that's it. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you a lot, Andres. Give us a round of applause. And also more shout outs. So I want to give a shout out to Refugees Code. We've been kind of big fans of Madrid for Refugees. It's an NGO that supports teaching refugees who are based in Madrid coding. They're looking for volunteers. I think, Christina, do you want to quickly come up and say a few words? We've got a little bit of time, so go for it.
Thank you so much, Babu. And actually, in disguise, Tree is also a member of our team. And we have in the crowd we have a student. Say hi. And then we have also a few teachers. Yep. So just very quickly, not to take so much time, Madrid for Refugees is an NGO. We were founded in Madrid in 2015. So we just celebrated our 10 years last year. And we have a lot of programs. Our flagship is Refugees Code. So we have a coding school in Madrid at our office in Puerta de Toledo. We teach a front-end development course, a 7-month course. And we also teach a data analytics course. And we have a really amazing team of volunteers who are professionals in the community. And the students, we look for partnerships to help our students get internships, get jobs, and to help everyone work together networking. We also have other programs, language teaching, computer basics, dance, and we also in our space open it up to the community for art exhibits, cultural events, co-working. So if anyone would love to come up to us, myself, Meredith, Tree, to collaborate, we would love to hear from you. Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting us, Babu.
That's okay. And also just to make a point that it's a course is taught in English. So obviously that makes sense for how we're so close to their community. And also I just want to give a shout out to TechFest. So this is a tech conference happening. It's in Madrid. Our community actually helped them a little bit with the English agenda page. We gave some feedback, bug fixes. They hate us now. But actually the page is top notch. And also it's pretty cheap. It's €6 each day, but also all the proceeds go to charity. It's 2 days of tech talks. So definitely check it out. And it's on different stacks and also UX. So without further ado, I think we'll hand it to our first speaker. Tree, do you want to?
Oh, okay then. Juan, yeah, please give a big applause for him to enter the stage.
Thank you. Okay, I am, this is weird, like I don't do microphones. This is very weird, but okay, I'm gonna give it a go. Thank you, obviously, DevMad and Cabify. I'm not gonna go through all of that again, but thank you very much. And today I'm gonna be talking about GenUI or generative UI or generative UX. Let's get to it. So that's the plan. Intro, we're gonna dig a little bit into what it is, because I think there is a lot of potential for confusion there. Then look at it from a product tech. We'll try the demo. The demo will work because it's recorded. So only the internet needs to work. And then have a look at the rest of GenUI projects. Very quickly, my name is Juan. I work at a place called Very Good Ventures. It's a consultancy in the States. We do digital products. I am not an AI expert. I'm not even an enthusiast by industry standards. But GenUI is interesting, and I was lucky enough to have a GenUI project at the end of last year. And so this talk is based on that experience. Let's get to it. So GenUI. GenUI, it's an LLM building user interfaces in real time. Now, the real-time part is important. There are tools out there where on your laptop with an agent, and some sort of like, tool, you prompt away, create a design. At the end of that, you export it, and then either that website or that app will be the same for all your users, right? That's not GenUI. That's AI-driven, digital product development. The important thing about GenUI is that it's driven by LLMs and it's done in real time. It's very, very, very experimental. That means that neither the protocols nor the SDKs, none of it is 1.0 yet. So if you ask me, I wouldn't put a GenUI app in front of 1 million people today. But this is what we're here. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here just to share my experience with it, and it's up to you to have a look, play with it, and see how it goes. Okay. GenUI really is personalization. But we've had this for a very, very long time. The minute that you log in on a website and you see your name, that's personalization, right? Now, so what is GenUI really? GenUI takes that to a whole new level, where the whole of the interface is potentially different for every user. It's even potentially different for you in different visits. It's up to the LLM to decide what to show you. So let's have a look at it. From a product design UX perspective, one of the mind shifts is about stop thinking about screens and journeys, where you typically do your design or user flows, Figma, code, whatever it is, you, on your own, with your team, get together and design every flow that then is going to be implemented. GenUI doesn't do any of that. What you do is you provide the LLM with an objective, a catalog, which I'll explain in a minute, and a set of instructions. Okay, so these are examples of objectives that you can give to an LLM that is driving GenUI. Like the one at the top, imagine that you're a financial institution with a bunch of products, and you want to create a GenUI application that is going to introduce those products to your potential new customers. GenUI can help you with that. And an example of an objective that you will be writing in the prompt for the LLM is that you have to introduce financial products to potential customers, making sure they're relevant to their current and midterm needs, for example, right? Then let's say you're a travel agency and you want to put together a GenUI app to help customers decide what they need to book. I think this is pretty much verbatim from the Google GenUI SDK example app, which we're going to see later. Your job is to help customers learn about different travel destinations and options, and then create itinerary and book a trip. If you cannot think about an objective to give to your LLM, then you don't need GenUI. So I'm not saying GenUI is not for every single page or every single screen. It's, I believe, very focused on these sort of objectives. Now, what is a catalog? So in GenUI, there is this idea of a catalog. A catalog is the list of visual components, your design system, right? And then each of those components, you need to provide the LLM with instructions on how and when to use it. This is something that is regularly taken for granted when your designer, your product person, whoever it is, they're designing, they have, you don't need to, like that, you cannot read that, but I'll read it in a second. You need to explain to the LLM when to use a table, or when to use a card or a divider. And this is, it's easy to say, and it's easy to understand, but when you get down to it, it's harder than it looks. Okay, I'm going to try and read that. It's a lot. But that's the type of definition that you need to give the LLM for every visual component that you want to provide the LLM with. In this case, for a very simple table, use a table when the user explicitly asks to compare items or when context strongly implies a side-by-side look. There is a lot more, but I'm not going to read it. Okay? Again, it's simple to understand what it is, but we struggle to explain to an LLM when to use a divider. So 2 pixels line, because now you need to start explaining to the LLM, oh, this is when you want 2 different sections, but then what is a section? And this is something that it's implicit all the time when you're not doing GenUI, because your designer or your product person will be doing this without having to explain it to anybody. But when it goes to the LLM, you have to explain to the LLM when and how to use it. Sorry, I'm going to use it. Okay. And then you need to provide the LLM with design instructions. What is a good design? What is a good user journey? What is a good user flow? Again, all this knowledge, it's in your designer's heads. And they use it every day when they design. But now you need to explain to an LLM what is, in your opinion, a good design, a good flow, a good interaction design. Just again, I'm just going to read a little bit. Create a vision of what type of trip the user wants to take and what the goals of the trip are. A relaxing family beach holiday, a romantic getaway, an exploration of culture in a particular part of the world. This, again, this is coming from the example travel app on the Google GenUI SDK. So you can look at it later. This, again, easier said than done. You need to put in writing what good interaction design is in a format that the LLM is going to understand. The LLM is your designer in real time. And I say also your designer because it's also your developer. You know, when we're talking about you don't need to design flows or screens, you also don't have to code them, unfortunately. You also don't have to code them. There's very surprisingly very little code in a GenUI app because what you do is, yes, you have to provide your design system or your catalog with the list of instructions and the list of instructions to the LLM, but there isn't that much coding. I'll show you in the demo later. Okay. From a tech point of view, this is going to be your most common setup. You're going to have a front end with a GenUI SDK. The one I've been using is the Flutter GenUI SDK because we're a Flutter shop. We work with Google. We've been partnering with them for real use. They asked us to provide real usage of the GenUI SDK and raise bugs and all that. But there is also CompilerKit, which I think is React-based. I think there's one coming for SwiftUI and for Angular as well. And then your backend will have some sort of LLM. Now, your LLM needs to speak GenUI. What does that mean? GenUI is just another language. It's JSON-based, and those 3 things at the bottom are the important ones. So your LLM and your backend, it needs to be able to stream JSON messages and declarative components, which are the catalog, and then data binding, which is also JSON-based. Obviously, Gemini is already doing this. OpenAI can do it as well. But Google, they're pushing the A2UI protocol, that's Agent 2 UI. And but it's open, and hopefully the other big players, they're going to pick it up as well. So it's an open protocol. You can go and have a look. Yeah, test GenUI with different models. We assume wrongly that the newer model, better model, more powerful model was going to work best, but it didn't, because it needs to do a lot of thinking. And the time it took to return the answers, which is a problem right now for GenUI applications, was too much. So we got better results with the Flash version of the models than with the full version of the model, because it does less thinking. It's slightly less smart, but it does less thinking. And because right now latency is a big thing in GenUI, it is not particularly fast. Try it, because you may be surprised that the simpler models get you where you need to be without all the computing power of the more advanced models. Right. Now, I can guarantee you that you're going to be disappointed, because it just looks like a website or an app. And we've seriously had issues with people looking at GenUI and going, well, that's just like that's just an interface. Right? Yeah, but there's so much going on. So you will be disappointed, but then hopefully I will bring it home. Hopefully. Okay. So again, travel app. Yes. So I entered that prompt at the top. What can I do on a 5-day family trip to London in Easter? And the LLM replied with that. Now, this is going to play a couple of times, no worries. The LLM has decided that it needed to reply with a big image and then title and then some text. And it decided, or it's going to decide now, that it's going to display something else. Everything that you see here is being decided by the LLM with the catalog at runtime, on the spot, right? I asked it, hey, can I go watch rugby? Again, found that information or made it up, and then decided to pull that image. But it decided that it needed that sort of car to take the whole screen. That's a decision that the LLM has made, again, on the spot. Then I asked it to see the itinerary, and it gave me this. These components are the ones that being provided to the LLM. But this is to prove the point that this is not just a glorified text chat, right? We've had that for a while. That's old now. It's not just a glorified chat. It's full interactive. You can provide interactive components, and as long as you tell the LLM, hey, this component needs a title, this component needs an image, this component needs these two buttons. As long as you provide the LLM with all that information, the LLM is going to fill it. And then for each catalog item, you need to tell the LLM when to use it. Going back to the table before. Hey, LLM, if you need to display information that is probably good to compare, use a table, right? And again, the LLM is making all of those decisions in real time. That's GenUI. Now, are you overwhelmed, underwhelmed, whelmed? You're whelmed. You're in, all right. Okay, let's see if I bring this on. Now, same app, same objective. Now, I've taken away elements from the catalog item. Now, instead of providing like the full catalog, my full design system, I'm providing less of those. Same objective, same LLM. Now, it's not as rich. And I left the broken image just to bring the point later about LLM hallucinations. And then I took away even more catalog items. Now I'm giving the same objective, but I'm giving it less components. The LLM is still trying to do the thing. It's still trying to tell me about when to do a family trip to London, but I haven't provided it all the catalog items I had at the beginning. Less, and then this is just text. But the LLM is going to try. And this is to bring the point that you control the catalog items. If you provide them rich, they'll be rich. If you provide them simpler, they'll be simpler. You can provide the LLM with styling options. You can provide the LLM, for example, one of these texts with like big, medium, small, and then tell the LLM, hey, use big text when you want to highlight whatever, right? You will need to do that. So if you want to provide the LLM with the ability to change the font size, you need to tell it when and how. Still well. That's good. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about risks. I'm, I guess, like a pessimist. Some of the things that if you're thinking about a GenUI project, you need to consider. Response times. Again, it's not particularly fast right now, but let's go through that. So let's say, again, you have a travel agency website and web app or app, whatever. Think about all the APIs that you need right now to do a static website, right? We're already struggling for or striving for performance and speed. Now, on top of all of that, the LLM needs to do the thinking of, all right, now I need to decide what to display to users. So it's a lot of work. That is in the A2UI protocol, they are thinking about doing, it's in the roadmap, streaming UI elements. I have my doubts about how that's going to work in a GenUI project because I have my doubts. Customer support. So customer support everywhere in the world is based on, hey, go to settings on the top right, click my account, the third checkbox, switch, right? Now, when everybody potentially gets a different interface, how they're going to do the jobs? Not trivial. Muscle memory. We get upset when the buttons in something that we use every day gets moved from one place to the next. So if you potentially will get a different UI every time you access the thing, what happens to your muscle memory? Things that you need to consider. Legal. Some of the things that we do and we put on the screens are legally binding. So when you leave the text that appear on that screen up to the LLM that has hallucinations, your legal team may want to have a word with you because those things are legally binding. Now, there are ways in which you can control some control. You can gain some control. And this is something that I had a slide, but we're struggling to explain it. Sounds weird, which is about LLM freedoms. Maybe catch me later and we go down that rabbit hole. Running costs. Digital products, the normal sort of like economics of digital products are, they're, expensive to build, and then comparatively, they're cheaper to run. Yes, you need to pay servers and but you do like a very big upfront investment, and then they're cheaper to run. On any LLM-based product, not just GenUI, when every single user, every single session is hitting your LLM for tokens, that's going to cost you. So you need to do the math, because the cost of doing business, again, you will get to the market faster with GenUI because there are no screens and no layouts to design and to program. But when you put it out, it will be more expensive. do the maths. Don't assume that you're just going to get a, this is, again, for all LLM-based products, not just GenUI. Hallucinations. You are letting the user interface in the hands of a black box that hallucinates. This is not me being that guy. OpenAI released a paper last year, and they say, hey, this is not an engineering problem. This is not, oh, we're going to be very careful. No. These algorithms have some hallucinations that you can just not get rid of. So, are you running a product that can take that risk, where sometimes maybe a 2%, 3%, a 5% of your sessions are going to go weird like that? If you're running critical mission software, maybe don't do GenUI, or maybe you do. I mean, it's up to you, but just know the risks. And then proof of success. Typically, even on normal projects, sometimes it's hard to tell what's going on in the wild, like what your users, when they call you up, I have a problem, what's going on their devices or their websites or the browsers, whatever. GenUI, literally everybody gets a different interface. You by definition almost don't know what they're seeing. So how do you know it's working? It's not trivial. How you fight this, right? Do you have in your company, organization, whatever, a very strong culture of success metrics? If you do, because at the end of the day, what the hypothesis behind GenUI is the LLM is going to be able to provide to the user an experience that's going to transform better than the one that we can think ahead of time. It's a lot. It's for me, that's mind blowing. Let's say again, like the booking process of a travel agency. We've been designing those experiences for decades. And now there is this hypothesis that the LLM is going to do better than that. If you don't have the metrics to look at, you won't know, right? You just simply won't know. You just put it out and then people will use it and that's just about it. So again, if you are thinking about putting some GenUI project into production, I would definitely first think about how can you know that people are able to do what you want them to be able to do through your GenUI application. And I think that's it. I went too fast, didn't I? Sorry. But yeah, no, I mean, you've got questions, comments, make them easy, please. But just the easy ones. My boss is probably watching.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation. I just had this doubt. It is possible to put guardrails in a GenUI application. For example, I was thinking if you have to auto-generate a part of the app, maybe will be some marketing campaigns, so it auto-generate with this information of different type of clients.
Yes.
Is it possible?
It is possible. Now I'm going to go back to the catalog and the LLM freedoms. I'm going to get into this. Okay. So for better or worse, the LLM can only touch what you allow it to touch. So I'm going to go back. Maybe here. So in this example, this is a component, right? And this is a carousel. You've given that to the LLM, and then the LLM has made that decision. But this has some structure, right? So this is the whole thing about the LLM freedoms is if you thinking about design systems where you have atoms like buttons, right? and then you go up to molecules, which will be this whole carousel. You need to decide what you give to the LLM. If you give it if you only give it atoms, if you only give it like this button here, the icon there, or just a text and a text component, you will probably end up with some sort of like Mr. Potato looking interface, where you've got a button here, a title here, and the title is blue, and you know what I mean? It's up to you. If you give it like bigger components, the LLM here can only fill with data the component that you've given it. But it cannot change, for example, this spacing in between. This is why this looks good. So in one side of the spectrum, you only give atoms to the LLM. On the other side of the spectrum, you give it like much bigger components. Now, if you do that side of the spectrum, the risk is the Mr. Potato Head. If you give it, you go to the other side of the spectrum, the problem is you're removing away the freedom for the LLM to decide what to put where. And again, the hypothesis is the LLM will be able to do an interface that's going to adapt better than a static one. But that's a hypothesis, and you should take it as such. And you will need to play with the level of atomicity, is a word? Atomicity of the catalog that you provide the LLM. Reasonable?
Well, thank you. It was an amazing experience. I've been reading about it as a designer. And from the designer perspective, for example, I'm sure it's an LLM, of course, and they hallucinate and they make decisions, right? But for example, is there a protocol, or do you have to provide it for conflictive suggestions? For example, when you give the instructions that for women, show blue, for men red, but for 25 show red and 20, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
do they have it built in, or do you have to provide also this kind of context?
You have two options. If you provide it, the LLM will probably follow it, putting aside the hallucinations. If you don't provide it, you're giving that freedom to the LLM. Do you trust it? And sort of like piggybacking on that example, I had another slide that I didn't put in, which is about like when to use GenUI. So going back to the financial institutions that want to introduce new products, the fact that you can change a 13-year-old and a 65-year-old get different products, that's not GenUI. That is a business decision done server side, right? It will be GenUI if the interface that the 13-year-old gets, it's very different from the one that this, 65-year-old gets. That is GenUI. When a different experience will help improve the metrics, going back to the how do you prove success, right? So you can give there is like a whole world about how to do prompting with these LLMs, and that's still true for this. If you provide it, the LLM probably will use it. If you don't, you're leaving it up to the LLM, and you need to try and investigate what will work best for your use case.
Just to complement, so it's like a globals CSS. You have to have a set of suggestions and protocols for starters, and then you start working in that project.
I think so, but there's nothing written. Like you have to, there is no, there will be maybe in, 6 months, Google will put out like default user interface guidelines for GenUI projects. Right now there isn't, which is good and bad. It's Wild West a little bit.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for the talk. It's a really fun concept that I hadn't come across before, and it's quite inspiring. I'm wondering, what's the most compelling demo or concept you've come across using this that you think, oh wow, that would be much better than a deterministic normal application?
How do I put this? I think right now, GenUI may be a little bit of a solution looking for problems. You didn't hear it from me, not on the record, but I think it's a little bit like that. So again, I had another slide that took away, which again, when to use GenUI, when does make sense to use GenUI. And the reason I took it out is because I thought I wasn't going to have enough time, but also because it's not easy. But I go back to the example before. This makes sense when you think that a completely different interface and flow will help the metrics for different people. Or, for example, sorry, I know I'm not answering your question, but I'll get there maybe. But this is important. Thank you for bringing it up. Let's say, for example, it's not just different people, right? So going back again to the travel agency, when I'm booking, like, I wanna book a holiday. Maybe at the beginning, I don't know where I wanna go or when I wanna go, right? I'm looking for inspiration. So like the beginning of this was, hey, I wanna go to London in Easter with the family, 5 days, right? At that point, I'm in this browsing or looking for inspiration mode. In that case, my guess is that the UI is probably very rich, very interactive, maybe videos, images, because that's what I'm looking for. Like I want to see like the big, picture of where I'm going to go. Now, one of the future, when I've already done that decision, and okay, so I've gone to the website of the app like a couple of times, 3 times, I finally made my mind, I'm gonna go to London, it's gonna be Easter, it's gonna be these 5 days. At that point, what I wanna do is the booking. So same person, different mindset. Now, a booking interface is just the form, right? And this is where LLMs are good. We've tested this. If you provide all the data, if you say London, Easter, 5 people from this day to that day, you skip the whole entering your data in the forms because LLM are extremely good at parsing that natural language. So have I been impressed with anything GenUI? Yes and no. I'm impressed by the magic that's behind it, but not from what you can see. Because you can see, in a way, personally, I think it's good that this looks like a normal, regular UI, right? So I've been impressed when I finally clicked for me what was going on behind the scenes, and in certain scenarios, the potential. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, kind of. Although there isn't like one killer app that you can.
No. And I don't know if there are that many GenUI experiences in production. Like again, we were working last year, like 2.5 months, with the Google team, with one of our clients. They did a proof of concept with GenUI. And I kid you not, every day we will go to the repository and effectively pull to see what Google had done or fixed the day before. So this is so highly experimental. I don't know of that many GenUI experiences in production today. You have the demos, but I don't think there is a lot in production today. You're probably now, after this talk, on the 2% of people that know most about GenUI in the world. Like I kid you not. Thanks. No worries.
please hold your questions because you're not running away, right?
No, I'm not running away.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, if you call later, you can email me, you can find me on Ferry, you can go to my website and get in touch, whatever. And thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Juan. Thanks so much for the insight. For me, it was like, wow, I didn't know much about it. And so we want to welcome the next speakers. Oh, they are already preparing. Juan and Gerson. Yeah. So please give an applause for two speakers. Yes. Yeah, it's working. Okay. Hola. So, hola.
I think it's working.
Yeah. It's working. Okay. Thank you very much for your time and for coming here. And thank you, Cabify, and thank you, DevMad, for the opportunity to talk here about guiArte, which is a museum virtual guide. And this is actually comes from our final project of masters that we thought it was cool to kind of share with everybody, right? So first, I wanted just to tell you that Babu told us, like, give us a picture of you for the meetup, where you look like serious people, like you are. The problem we spend a lot of time because we really look like this, like, so it was a little hard, but anyways, we came up with one at least. So guiArte, what does it mean? So it is English speaking. Let's say presentation. So actually, guiArte is split in three parts. The first one is guia, which is guide, really, and then there's IA, which is AI, artificial intelligence, and then arte, which is art. So essentially, guiArte is sort of like a guide of art with AI, and actually, is also kind of like a verb because it also means to guide you, right? Yeah. And this is where I think Juan, Juan had a great idea by embedding the video, and this is when you get two backend engineers to do a presentation. But actually, we had a video here about guiArte. This is how it looks like, and it's essentially one of the fronts is actually a Flutter app. We're not front-end, so we apologize in advance. But really, it's like a normal audio guide, sort of, with a list of paintings, and then you can take a picture, and then take a picture of that painting. For instance, Paso a la Laguna Estigia, or Carrying Crossing the Sticks, and then it essentially identifies the painting by the picture, and then you move on to a chatbot, but you really ask questions about the painting. Because we wanted to kind of think about, you go to a museum like El Prado, and then
El Paso de la Laguna Estigia es una obra pintada por Joan.
I got interrupted by my own app, so yeah. It's really, well, you heard it talks back to you and answers questions about the painting, because when you get an audio guide, what you really get is a very static audio. But what if you have more questions about a painting? And this is where, for example, this painting from El Prado, it's Fusilamiento de Torrijos, which was painted by Antonio Gisbert. And there's a lot of history behind this painting. And part of it was to remind us of tyranny, right? Of the effects and the horror of tyranny. So we thought about that in the sense that without context, art is just brush strokes on a canvas. So we want to go further than that. And that's how the idea of guiArte came to be. So what is guiArte? What you saw is a virtual guide. It has a very specific prototype for Museo del Prado with 2 hours in Museo del Prado tour guide. It has an image retrieval. We got 95% accuracy, actually a little bit more than that, but also a RAG that answers questions as a chatbot with 82% faithfulness. And then it implements state-of-the-art,
at least when we implemented it, was state of the art. And we'll talk about it in a minute, of AI, and then also following good software engineering practices. We had 2 apps, actually, the app that you saw, and we also implemented a smart glasses. They're really ugly, they're over there, but and 3 endpoints for it. Anyways, this is Gerson's.
Okay, let's talk about the 2 parts, two most important part of the app, which is the image classification part and the rack. The image classification part works with a pipeline. One would start thinking that we made a classifier for any picture, which would be a really bad idea, because what if we've got more than the images we had at the beginning? They were like, say, more than that, it would be a bad idea. So firstly, we started thinking about creating embeddings for those paintings and saving in a vector database, which was Azure AI Search. But then when we realized that when you take a photo and then you take the raw photo embeddings and make a retrieval, it was not that good, because it could have some noises and walls and stuff. And we realized that we have to make a crop. And then we use Google Vision API, a simple call, to create a crop so that we can have specifically the picture we wanted. And then we create embeddings with that picture, with that crop, using Clip. At that moment, it was such a good idea using Clip, since we were comparing and benchmarking with Siglib at that time, which was too heavy for the capacity we've got at that moment. And yes, we decided just Clip because it was easier, it was lightweight, and it was working really well. And so the pipeline works in the way that when you're cropping the image, and then if you've got the embeddings, you make a similarity search, and then you get the result. It was 80% of accuracy, but it has a problem. What if you're taking a photo of literally the floor, and you look for the closest image, and it brought you something, which it will always bring something that maybe it's not related to the image we're taking. So the identification of unknown paintings was not a feature of this pipeline. So what else if we were trying to, a painting, an artwork, but it's not in our database. We didn't have this pipeline didn't have a solution for that. It will always retrieve the closest image. So we decided to create something more interesting, which was fine-tuning the clip model using some of the examples of the 2 hours tools in El Prado. By fine-tuning, we created using we're using a paper it was made in 2017, I think, called the neurotypical neural networks, using few shots learning. In this case, as we have only one example of the paintings which was published in the El Prado site, and we actually scraped the El Prado site as a students. So we use the paper. We've got only one image for as example. So it was a one-shot learning fine-tuning, and then we've got as a result a new model. That model was published in Hugging Face. You can look for it. By the time we made it, it had 800 downloads. So people likely got interested in it. But it makes a new pipeline, which was this one. A little bit more complicated, but we already know that it was working. This is the papers if you want to search for it. So look at it and see what we did. And also we took another thing from that paper, which was the zero shot part. As you can see, you can have a picture and then you crop it. This was standard, but from this on, everything changes. Let's start with the beginning. The fine-tuned clip transformed the image, the cropped image, to embeddings to make a retrieval. This returns the top 3 closest paintings. It doesn't mean that the painting we are looking for is there. It just retrieves. Then using this, the fine-tuned clip, using the names of the concept of the pictures, we create a zero shot classification using the image crop at the beginning. And then it just provides you some logics in which, we cannot use the logics. So we pass those logics through a softmax function. The softmax function retrieves a probability of how likely the image is classified to another image. So we've got to resolve two possibilities in this case. That the embedding, retrieve the closest one was the zero shot classified, in which we were sure, for sure, like we already know the image we're taking the photo of. But if we were not sure, we had an alternative in which we return the options to the product, and then you can select them if the painting is there, or if not, you can say it's not there. This led us to a 95% of accuracy. And it's very important to know that this approach is scalable. Why? Because you can add more and more paintings and it still works. And also the identification of unknown paintings was a problem we solved. Because when it doesn't know, it just returns the options and you can say the image is not there. And filtering paintings, because we only use the 2 hours tours of El Prado, which is a very good result for so less resources.
Now, I'm going to translate to English. So this is the case when we had base, the original clip. So let's imagine that we can put these paintings in a 2D chart, right? Graph. It's a lot more dimensions, but I'm gonna just use 2 because of the example. So these 2 are paintings with sky and a landscape. So that's why they're closer together to each other. And then you have Las Meninas, which doesn't have any of that. And that's why it's a little bit far from it. So what if I took a picture of this painting, but because of the angle of the lighting, it unfortunately lands here. It'll make the mistake of thinking that is actually this painting. Or maybe I take a picture of the floor and then it'll think it's a Las Meninas, for example, because it's the closest one. So what we did really here is sort of combine the images with the concepts of the titles of the paintings so that the features of what's in the image can be understood, let's say, by clip, by combining the words and the features that it found. So that way, if I took a picture, it'll be obviously closest to knowing that Karen was crossing the sticks because it's what it sees, right? And of course, if I took a picture of the floor, it'll say, I don't really know what you're taking picture of us because there's nothing really close to it, or this concept I don't understand. So that's really the whole point was how to make the model, to say it somehow, know that it doesn't know. Okay, and so we kind of took that test and compared it to the base one. And we saw that consistently it was actually performing above 90% accuracy. Even when we showed, for example, in this case, painting, it was trained on, and then paintings with which he had never seen, like this one, which is the Countess Amalia in El Prado. So we actually show it, and it was able to understand Amalia and the Countess, right?
Then we've got the second part, which would be the rack part. It's a naive rack, so it's not that much technology, but also by the time we were building this thing, the cutting edge model was a GPT-04 mini. And now we could replace it with GPT-3, GPT 5.2, something like that, or GenUI. But once the painting is recognized, the user can just question, ask things by the smart glasses or the. So the question passes through our rephrasing part, which enhances the question so that it can get the information from the painting and also the conversation if it already has some history. And then after rephrasing, we've got a parallel search. The parallel search make a retrieval from the Azure AI search index that has the text embeddings of the official information of museodelprado.com and a Google custom search in case the information is not there. So it's very important that we had to scrape the Museo del Prado for the images and for the text. And once we retrieve those texts, those chunks, we created the answer, and it created a 82% of faithfulness. It has its business logic. It's not only faithfulness just because the faithfulness is related at how close we are to the official information that Museo del Prado is giving on the page. So that, I mean, we can ensure that we are also saying that what Museo del Prado is published. Just to say, this was the model we were using. By the time it was small enough for the capacity we have, and also for the requirements of the task. For the sake of the architecture, I mean, yes, this is a little simple architecture, but we've got two ends, as Juan said, and we were deploying Azure Container Service. We have a Docker image with Fast API running the backend. We have the GTTS for the voice generation and Whisper base for the transcription generation, and the important technology that we had from the back on the image pack. The Google Vision API, Azure AI Search for the indexes, and the LLM and the Google Custom Search in case we don't have that information. Also, to deploy this fast, we created some CI/CD using GitHub Actions so that every time someone triggers something on the main branch, we created the image and then deploy it to Azure Container Services, just to try a new stuff, add new features, and test with users what we were doing.
And we actually won the first place in the competition. Thank you. It's actually a team, the full team. Yeah, we're just the biggest nerds. And this is actually a crop from the picture you saw. Yeah, it's the best we could do. So the question also is, so it's been some time, how will we do each of these steps differently? We could probably add, because the vision part is good enough, I guess, and it scales. And by the way, we went to the Thyssen-Bornemisza Museum and didn't even show the model any of the paintings, and it performed well. So it's actually doing well. It's adding a caption to the paintings, to the images, in such a way that you can also do semantic search, or anybody can probably say, I don't remember this Karen crossing the sticks, but I know that there's a guy or two guys in the middle of the river, and so we try to look for the image, not only by the image but also by the text.
If you are into AI, you likely know the situation in which technology has improved that much that everything you did is likely deprecated. Since if we had to do this today, we would use some WebSocket connected to our real-time agent using those tools. In the case of for the chat, I mean for responding the rack, and for the image classification and the search, as Juan said. And we would have some behavioral rules or guardrails to the real-time agent and the creator of responses.
There's another important thing that we probably didn't mention here in the slides, but the other part was what do we do with the data of the questions that they're asking, I mean the users are asking, right? So that could actually help museums to learn about the visitors, right? And probably I know that some people are more interested in Goya on May versus Patinir on December. So that's also, I think, a very valid and important point that could be an addition to what we discussed here. And that's it. This is the other picture of Gerson that we selected. Thank you.
Share.
Hey, Juan Carlos, Gerson, thank you for your presentation. We met before in some previous event in the 2025. I don't know if you remember me, but we talked about it, your startup and stuff. Yeah.
From Colombia.
Huh?
From Colombia.
Yes.
Yes, I remember.
Well, my question is this: how the app recognize if you take a picture of an image? It should have a frame or something. So, what happens if you take a picture of? And the frame, of course.
Yeah. I'm gonna. Yeah. If you take a photo of nothing, we immediately know that you have nothing in this part. So by the beginning, we didn't think about it, but now when we create this pipeline, we already thought about it. And if there is not a frame and an artwork classified by Google Vision API, there is nothing we can do, and nothing proceeds from there on. So that is the main part. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, congratulations on your great work. I see that this was your master's project, so that's really amazing. I'm just curious, what is your next steps with this app? Are you guys like trying to find jobs? Are you working on your own project to develop this further? Great work.
Thank you. Yeah, you can dream, I guess. We can do this. Anybody from Museo del Prado here? No, but really, we actually kind of thought about very competitive, and we thought, first off, we gotta win this, so we gotta make something really cool that's actually useful and whatnot. Museums usually are interested in this sort of solution, especially nowadays. We did have some talks with El Prado, and it was a project, but then but we want to spoil about it. But we've been thinking about the next steps just because we think it's a really cool project that we can put it forward in museums. But you can take it anywhere else. Really, you can basically have a tour guide of the city, and then you still have the same idea, the same concept of identifying, landmarks and asking and answering questions about those landmarks. The sound quality of this is so good. We can do a karaoke later. Right? Why not, right? With Tito. Okay.
So, how does embedding also the captions alongside? Do I sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so why does or how embedding also the text, the captions in the photos allows you for a better score if the user only provides the photos and not the text? So yeah.
Are you talking about this or the next step? Because
well, basically how come the fine-tuned model performs better if you search for it not by passing the text alongside the photo, but only the photo?
Okay, the actual training of the fine-tuned clip was using the photos and their names, so that clip could use their concepts and optimize so that you can get the artwork concepts. We were using the images and their names. After that, we weren't using captioning. Actually, we were thinking about using captioning so that the text embedding were useful in the classification, but it didn't work in that time. So as clip is a contrastive language image projection, I mean it was something like that. And we just use language and image so that you can create this matrix I'm gonna get a little bit mathematical. So that you can compare language and image in the same matrix, and the same matrix provides you that the information like an attention, and you can get this image represents that text. If that is that clear for you?
Yeah, okay, yeah, it makes sense.
A clip is actually multimodal, so it takes both images and text. And when you only use images, you can still use it with only images, right? But then when you add text to it, you actually get in full power of clip. And then we also had some issues with certain paintings that were really tough as a concept. There's one that's called the ear, the el oído, which is kind of like the ear. And it's really a lot of musical instruments. So it makes there's no easy connection between the ear to a lot of us, ladies sitting on the middle of a lot of, So that would need probably the basic one, the one that it also only uses. But it was an interesting find that you can actually fine tune that with the titles, and that it's good enough to reach that 95%. So it's a good question.
In that case, I do have a question, but I'll come to you actually afterwards. Yeah. Well, let's have another applause.
Gracias.
I think, we should really say thank you again to Juan for giving us, for warning us what might come to all of us in the future with regards to GenUI. And also, Juan and Gerson for showing this beautiful intersection of technology and art.
I think it's a really cool project, actually. And also the GenUI stuff is mind-blowing. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly the use case is, but at least we've got a preview of the future, right? So, I think I just want to say thank you so much to both speakers for coming to our Tech Talk event, for getting up here on stage. It is really daunting, this microphone. And it's also thank you guys so much for turning up on a rainy day. And honestly, we weren't sure how this was going to pan out, but I think I'm really, really glad that you guys are here, and it's been a great success. We'd love to take a selfie for our page and for our group. If you don't want to be in the photo, that's fine. Just stand to one side. But otherwise, if you guys want to rearrange yourselves in the middle, we'll take the photo from here. Andres, you can't escape. Don't go running. Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
And of course, to round off, we want to say again, to Cabify, thank you so much for hosting
big shout
us.
Out.
Yeah, this beautiful space, it's quite wonderful. And not only that, right, we want to thank you also because you're taking care of refreshments during the networking. So thank you again that we could be here today.
Thank you, too.
Pizzas are coming. I don't know when, but they should come. In the meanwhile, there are some drinks in the fridge, in the kitchen. We can go there with you. We have 1 hour, so hopefully the pizzas are coming soon. Thank you very much for coming. Have fun.